Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to JoyNews Today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimle. We're on DTT because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Parliament reconnected to the national grid after settling more than 10 million of the 23 million cedis debt it owed ECG. Following yesterday's disconnection, we are live in Parliament for details. Meanwhile, importers and exporters say they are bearing the brunt of the current erratic power supply as the frequent power cuts affect port administration. Also, Asantehene Otumfo said two calls on government to complete the Sewa Hospital. More as he inspects state of hospital projects in the Ashanti region. Plus, as we start the Ghana Month today, we ask, what does this spirit mean to Ghanaians and what should inform our reflections as a nation? We have a reminder for you. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces at JoyNews on TV. My personal handle is @Denana Aisha. Please do stay for details. Parliament of Ghana has been reconnected to the national grid after an ECG task force disconnected the legislature over its 23 million cedis debt. The Chamber of Parliament was plunged into darkness, as well as MPs' offices, resulting in staff and members stuck in the elevators. It took the prompt intervention of fire service officers to rescue those trapped in the elevators. Parliament has since settled more than 10 million cedis of the debt and has been reconnected. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has joined us from Parliament with more. Kweku, is Parliament confirming when it intends to settle the rest of the debt?
Well, this has become such an issue on the floor this morning because some members of Parliament are not really enthused about the actions that the ECG took. According to the Minority Chief with Government Kwame Agbodza, ECG should not be allowed to disconnect Parliament every now and then because Parliament is not an institution that generates funds on its own. And so if Parliament has not been able to settle its debt, it is mainly because the executive or the main government has not transmitted to Parliament the amount it budgeted for. And so when ECG is allowed to do this, it actually affects them in the way they do their work. And so that issue has come up quite strongly on the floor. We do not have any indication yet when Parliament intends to settle the rest of the money they owe, because the entire debt was about 23 million. We understand it paid a little over 10 million. That still leaves a significant part of that debt in arrears, and Parliament will have to settle that because ECG has made it clear that if you do not settle these debts as soon as practicable, they will be back to disconnect the lights from Parliament. And so we understand they are frantic efforts to work with the executive, the finance ministry, to get them as much money as possible so that they can clear these debts.
The State of the Nation address debate is continuing today in Parliament. What is the latest?
The debate has just started. The Education Minister is on the floor. He is the first person to start the debate today. But the intermittent power outages has also come up when MPs were discussing the business statement for the ensuing week. Members of Parliament want the Energy Minister, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, to be dragged before Parliament to come and answer questions on why the nation is being plunged into these darkness. Over the last few days, the country has been shedding load according to the minority, and the NDC MPs want the Energy Minister to come and answer questions, especially with claims that the country is so broke it's unable to pay for fuel to actually power the grid. So these are questions that have come up, and the majority leader, Elvis Afriyie, has made this point that the majority MPs should already be filing questions. We expect that next week, Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh will be dragged before the House to come and answer questions on why exactly the nation is facing these intermittent power outages.
Kukwa Sante is our correspondent in Parliament. We'll definitely bring you more from the House as and when we get it in our subsequent bulletins. Also this afternoon, importers and exporters say they are bearing the brunt of the current erratic power supply as the frequent power cuts affect port administration, leading to delays in clearing cargo at the port. Speaking to Joy News, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asake Awingobit, urged the Energy Ministry to release a timetable to avert more losses to the business community. I've been joined by Carlos Coloni, who is on this beat for us. Carlos, paint a picture of the toll the power cuts are having on the port.
All right, Aisha, this morning I visited the fishing harbour and the MPS area at the main harbour itself. And so at the fishing harbour, I interacted with coastal operators who actually expressed concerns over the erratic power supply. Their fear is that their frozen foods could go bad due to the frequent unannounced power cuts. And so because they don't know when the power will be going off, they are unable to plan to actually secure their goods in the cold room. And also, at the main port itself, some freight forwarders I spoke to also say the clearance of their cargoes are delayed for hours due to the power cut. You know, when the power goes off, it means that port administration comes to a certain halt, and this puts certain delays. And at the end of the day, they believe that this not resolved quickly will lead to payment of demurrage on their part. So from the aspect of the freight forwarders, they are expressing concerns, and also from the those operating cold rooms, they are also expressing concerns over the erratic power supply currently.
Carlos Coloni is our reporter monitoring this for us. Thankfully, we have Samson Awingobit, who has also joined us. He's the Executive Director of the Importers and Exporters Association. Exactly how is this affecting your work, as you put it?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's not too far. What I'm going to say will not be too distant from what Coloni is reporting. I think I remember on our platform since last 2 weeks or last week, the complaints was that even there were containers that a vessel that has arrived at MPS and containers were supposed to be transferred to other outside terminals. Okay. We call them the ICDs. As a result of, there was a blackout. It affected the MPA. Because of that, with the industry players, we are not happy because in the sense that if there are delays at the MPS before containers end up moving to outside ICDs, the importer will end up paying the mortgage and rent, and that is not the make of the importer. So quite clearly, of course, and he made mention of the cool rooms. Of course, assuming you are not aware of any power rush sharing, you've closed your work, you've gone home, and the night, then boom, the whole light went off. Assuming you do not have put up in place, this is that if the frozen meat was supposed to be stored under a certain temperature, -5%, -5, and degrees Celsius, and it's not like that, then it's going to affect you. At the end of the day, it's going to be unwholesome.
Right, Samson Awingobit is Executive Director, Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association. They want the Energy Ministry to share a timetable for the load shedding so that it will avert more losses, as he puts it. Let's go to Kumasi, away from the power outages. The Asante Hino Otumfo to the second has toured some health project sites in the Ashanti region, which are either stalled or under construction. Prominent among the facilities visited is the Sewa Regional Hospital, which is 90% completed but left unattended to, with deplorable roads impeding its usage. The Asante Hino inspected the pace of work at the project sites while advocating for their early completion. Nana Boache Iyadom joined the tour and has filed this report.
The Asante visited 3 project sites in the Ashanti region, including the ongoing renovation works he is spearheading at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, the stalled Sewa Regional Hospital, and the Mother and Baby Unit at the Menchia Hospital. The comprehensive renovation and modernization of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital has reached a 60% completion rate. Otumfuo has been leading the Hillcath project through a $10 million public fundraising exercise to renovate the traditional wards of the hospital. Samuel Edubwache is the chairman of the Hillcath project.
Komfo-Anokye is not going to leak any further when it rains. One of the major problems of Komfo-Anokye was the fact that if it rained today for 2 weeks, some of the wards will be leaking. We are privileged and happy to mention that the last rains that we have experienced, not even one leakage. The king is very pleased. The progress of work so far, because of the space concerns, the hospital is still in session. So what is happening is that we'll be doing it in phases. So currently, the A4, A5 demolition has happened. The things have almost arrived. So as it arrives, we'll be making sure that just a matter of fixing those fixtures and fittings that we have imported to be able to do this.
The Asante later inspected the Sewa Hospital project, which is to serve as a regional hospital. The facility, already 90% complete, is left unattended with deplorable roads impeding its usage. Dr. Emmanuel Daa is the Ashanti Regional Health Director.
The hospital has been completed for the past 1 year. What we need to do is to get electricity connected to the hospital. You know, we need a transformer that can power all the machines. And the current electricity that we have will not be enough to power the machines. That's the reason why we believe that we need a new machine. So fortunately, ECG has connected us from the main line and giving us 2 transformers. All that we need to do now is to connect the hospital to the main lines, and then we can test run the machines and then train the staff and then open the facility. Also the road, you saw it yourself. We need to put it in shape.
Dr. Ejakupoku, who spoke on behalf of the Asante, says the visit is to advocate for the completion of the projects.
It is part of his activity to occasionally go around to see the developmental activities going on. Sewa Regional Hospital is very significant and he must come and see. We've been told that it's about 90% completed. So he's here to find out why it's not moving and to see how he can also support the program to go. Definitely he will have to put in his advocacy skills to get us moving.
The Asante ended his inspection at the construction of the baby and mother unit at the Menchia Hospital.
Well, the Asante is expected to add up his voice and call on government to speed up its work on these sites to ensure that these projects are completed in no time. For Joy News, my name is Nana Boachidankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Well, Ghana Month is a period used to recognize the rich cultural heritage of the nation. It's also to teach the younger generation the morals and values upheld in Ghanaian society. This month of March will be no different, but has the observation of the Ghana Month lived up to its billing? What can be done differently, and what should be the takeaway in this month of March? Chief of Edumasan, Nana Nsakwao, has been reminding us of who we are as Ghanaians.
Influence and dominance on our lives and our culture is way too much. And there is not a single country, a people, a tribe, a community in this world that has ever made anything significant or meaningful by copying somebody else. So everybody develops by being who God created them to be. Yes, you advance. Yes, technologies come. But you find your terrain and you advance within your terrain. But we seem to have completely sidestepped ours and mimicking others. And so you realize that every time everybody just complains, why Ghana? Why Ghana? Why can't we move forward in the, in the face of all this abundance, culture, and on top of that, peace. And on top of that peace, there are countries who are at war who are actually even, developing faster than we are. And why is it? Because we are not true to ourselves. And so Ghana Month, I'm glad that we have adapted it wholly and we are putting everything into it so that, the young ones growing up will not depart further than what they are now. So as for Ghana Month, I am all for it, and I urge each and every Ghanaian, to be fully on board with whatever it is Ghanaian, because that's how God made you.
The Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources has joined calls for an action plan and constitutional amendment to help eradicate gender-based violence, especially against women and children. Such acts have become predominant in rural areas where women and children lack basic needs, including water, schools, and toilet facilities. The ministry, during a stakeholder engagement in Kumasi, addressed issues of gender-based violence and sexual exploitation to develop an action plan to eradicate such acts while ensuring the arrest of perpetrators. There's more in this report.
In Ghana, women face risk of sexual violence, according to a report on domestic violence by the Institute of Development Studies 2016. An important feature of such incidents is the nature of the power relations created by parties, perpetrators and victims of this practice, and the context that draws them together. This has necessitated an action plan by the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources to subdue such offences to facilitate inclusive delivery of water and sanitation services. Justice Gloria Mensah-Bonsu is in charge of the Gender-Based Violence Court at the Kumasi High Court. She underscores the need for an action plan and a constitutional amendment to curb such acts.
The law is that if there is an established defilement, the minimum punishment is 7 years imprisonment and the maximum is 25 years imprisonment, and it's a strict liability law. So there is no option of a fine. Therefore, why would we come to court for somebody to be sent to prison whilst we get nothing out of it? So they think that I think that looking at the cases so far and the challenges I have in prosecuting them, if the law is amended so that we have an option of a fine or compensation, not even that option standing alone, but in addition to a term of imprisonment.
Justice Mensah-Bonsu encouraged parents to report cases of GBV, sexual exploitation and sexual harassment to ensure perpetrators are brought to book.
I would advise parents, and I sympathize with them because I know that because of stigmatization and all that, it's very difficult. But when it happens, it has happened, and it has a long-term trauma effect on your child. Long-term, because right now you may not know, but the person may not want to be married or will have issues relating very well with the partner. So they should try as much as possible to allow the law to take its course, so that the perpetrators will be brought to book.
Project lead for the ministry explained why it is putting up an action plan against the gender-based violence and its related offences.
One of the indicators that we are looking now is gender inclusivity, leaving no one behind principles and all that. And once you are bringing both women, men, girls, boys into development context, there are some populations that are vulnerable to gender-based violence and then sexual exploitation. So for us, providing service in water and sanitation, and we work in communities. Of course, we'll have those vulnerable people in our working environment. We need to put a system in place for us to be able to achieve that target of redress of any gender-based violence.
For Joy News, my name is Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Climate experts with the Regional Climate Outlook Forum have warned that the changing weather conditions could seriously impact crop production in Ghana and affect food security. This comes in the wake of a stark warning from the Ghana Meteorological Service highlighting the health hazards linked to soaring temperatures as the sun is said to be moving northward from the southern hemisphere.
But factors including high cost of credit, non-availability of improved seedlings, and the lack of mechanized irrigation facilities have significantly dwindled the fortunes of the sector. Speaking to Joy News on the sideline of the Regional Climate Outlook Forum in Accra, the head of research and information at the Agriculture, Hydrology and Meteorological Regional Center in Niger, Dr. Abdul Ali, want local farmers to resort to the cultivation of crops that are resistant to drought in this period to sustain their production.
If you know that for the upcoming seasons, you are going to have a lot of rainfall. So this information is very strategic for farmers. They can choose the right land, the right crop varieties, so that they can make benefit from this upcoming rainy seasons. If they know that the upcoming seasons is going to be dry, this is also very beneficial for them. So from this information, they can cope with these dry situations. So for example, they can choose an area which is more resistant against drought. Instead of going to highland, they can do their crops into lowland, because lowland is more resistant to drought situations. And also, for example, if they are going to face drought situations, then they can choose crop varieties that are relevant for drought situations. So this helps them to cope with drought situations. With these climate change issues, you are going to have an increasing in the extreme. So you will have more and more heat wave, and you will have more and more extreme rainfall situation. So you need to cope with this one. For example, if you are producing tomatoes and then you know that the heat is very high, so this can really lead to big damage of your tomato productions. So I think we should provide advice, and we should sensitize the farmers that this is a situation we are going to face more and more because of this climate change situations. The weather will become more and more hotter compared to what we know in the past. So I think if they used to produce tomatoes and they used to take it under cold weather, so they need now to change their practice.
Deputy Director General of the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Eric Suman, gives more explanation on Ghana's current changing climate situation.
In Ghana, we have two main rainfall patterns. We have the major season and the minor season for the middle and the southern sector, and then we have one season for the northern sector. And every year we come out with the forecast, which tell us when the rainfall is going to start, when the rainfall is going to cease, when will we expect dry spells, periods that we're not expecting rain within the rainfall season, and then cumulative rainfalls that to be expected. To be able to do this, these countries from the Gulf of Guinea countries, with a sub-regional center agreement and then the regional center ACMAT, the scientists from these countries comes together and then do the analysis of reading the models, analyzing the data to be able to know the outlook of the season. And that's what Ghana Meteorological Agency, and for that matter Ghana, is privileged to host this year, which we've just opened. And it's so critical for decision makers.
Former Youth and Sports Minister Elvis Afriyie has opened up on what led to the airlifting of money to Brazil 10 years after the incident. It comes after President Akufo-Addo this week reacted to Ghana's humiliation in the 2023 African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. Elvis Afriyie, in a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Personality Profile, said the posture of the Black Star players for some time now is problematic, and if not checked, will keep drawing the country backwards, adding no player should be allowed to hold the country to ransom.
Not charter an aircraft, no. And I'm saying this on record. This is the first time I'm saying this publicly. And I have evidence, pictures, videos, you know. The money was brought. You know, Ghana's fleet, every plane that belongs to Ghana is managed by the aircraft. So it was the Air Force flown by a senior Ogbodo of the Air Force that flew the money.
Okay.
So this business of chartered plane, for the first time I'm saying this in public, nobody chartered any plane anywhere. So this is how the money came. And when the money came, the FA, the FIFA, Brazilian authorities, customs, because they knew we had a crisis. In the meantime, and this is what broke me, the players refused to train.
Until they
said if they don't see cash. Look, I said everything. That's why the commission, if you recall, again, people who don't pay attention said, oh, they asked him about money and then he broke down. No. They asked me, at that time, how did you feel? Because I had spoken to them. I said, just go and play. Do you know what it means to qualify to the next stage in the World Cup? What it will do to your career? You know the level your career will go to. Train. Because if you don't train, there's science, okay? Before every match, there's a number of times you should train, heavy training, trial match, light training, rest, so that your body and your muscle memory will be conditioned. If you lose one, it will affect you. So I told them all these things. You train, your money will come. Just train. Because if you don't train, you would have cheated the country. Because when the money eventually comes, your performance would not be able to be up to par. You would have collected the money anyway. They said, no, unless we see physical cash.
Before they would train. And that broke you.
So we took the money to them. And you saw them, they were kissing the money. You saw them, you saw the videos. They were kissing the money. No player, no Ghanaian should be allowed to hold the country to ransom in this way.
Full interview is at 9 p.m. this evening on the JoyNews channel. To make a date. The country's youth has been urged not to allow themselves to be used to foment trouble during the electioneering period. Speaking during a health and peace walk organized by a WA-based youth group, Executive Secretary to the National Peace Council in the Upper West region, Emmanuel Daa, called on the youth to choose the path of peace and not to allow themselves to be used as instruments of destruction. JoyNews' Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Over 10,000 youth, drawn from over 100 youth groups and camps in the WA municipality and beyond, took part in the health and peaceful walk codenamed Walk with Jonjo. This came on the heels of last year's successful event, which saw 70 youth groups participating in. The youth groups, majority of whom are from political parties, religious groups, professional organizations, and football supporters, took part in the event organized by the Wajangberi-based youth club, Jonjo Palace. The attendance was massive as mates of the youth spilled all principal speaks in the township. The walk, jog, dance and music played on sound systems, kept on tracks, and also from local drums. Convener of Walk with Jonjo, Baba Sadat, explained why they have embarked on the walk.
You know, as election is getting near, this is 2024, the incumbent MPP said they want to retain power and break the 8. The opposition NDC also said they want to wrestle power from the hands of MPP. And we are also in a war zone environment, surrounded by Burkina Faso, Togo, and Niger, and other Francophone countries. And definitely, if peace peace is not paramount. Something must happen. And as we are getting into the election year, we need to position the youth as an agent of peace before, during, and after the elections. And that's the reason why we've brought all these youth groups together to drum home the word of peace, so that they will know that before election, after election, whatever that happens, happens. And there's no need to, for chaos. People have to go about their normal duties and live in harmony.
Other organizers of Work with JoyNews also threw further light on the event.
We are all aware that if a country can grow, it is the youth that have to drive the peace of the car. That is the more reason why we have invited our security service, so that there will be a sense of harmony during and after elections.
So what I can see this morning, I'm of the view that if we're able to succeed in this, and the people go home with whatever message we share here, it can translate and give us a peaceful election come 2024.
War-based supporters of English Premiership club West Ham United also had a bite of the pie.
We are representative of Ghanaian Hammers Supporters Union. So, as everybody is saying, we are here to also preach peace.
Ministry of Education says government is working at improving the standards of food provided in the various senior high schools. While admitting the challenges associated with the school feeding program, the Education Ministry's Public Relations Officer, Kwesi Kwarteng, says the food served to the students are of good quality and are allayed fears of parents who are worried about what their wards consume while in school. Let's now cross over and speak with my colleague Kenneth JC, who's on this beat for us. Kenneth, what can you report from where you are? Hello, Kenneth. I think there's a terrible connection there. Hello, Kenneth. I'm asking what you can report. First of all, where are you? Which school are you right now? And what can you report from there?
We've been to St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School. Currently, when we went to Laboni, they were served porridge and bread for breakfast. We're yet to see what they were served or they will be served for lunch. But I have the Education Ministry PRO, Kwesi Kwarteng, with me to share a few words with me. Kwesi, we've been to, this is the third secondary school we've been to. Government has said that you've admitted that, look, there are problems with the school feeding program, but it is a work in progress.
No, we never said there are problems with it. What we are saying is
you have no problem with it?
No, obviously, I mean, generally, any sector may be having their own challenges, because anything that you have a human interface with, certainly you may have your own challenges. But our responsibility here, first of all, is to visit the schools, assess it for ourselves, have a first-hand information, particularly what involves the food distribution and feeding in terms of the quality, in terms of the quantity. Then from there, we should be able to provide any intervention where necessary. And when they are also require some level of improvements, then we take the necessary actions. So like you indicated, we started from Laboni, then to St. Thomas Aquinas, and also to Presec. It is important to also add that these visitations, which has been instructed by the Minister for Education, Dr. Oseduchum, is not only being done in Greater Accra. All across the other regions, there are also personnel from the Ministry of Education, Free Secretariat, with the media to also visit the schools and assess the situation.
I mean, one would say that these are sort of category A schools, Presbyterians, Boys Secondary School, St. Thomas Aquinas, Laboni. These are top schools that may not be having the issues that we highlighted in our documentary. The schools that are, outside Accra, is the situation the same as we are witnessing here? Are they being served better food as we are witnessing here?
I think it's something that I've already spoken to. That in order not to situate the conversation only in Accra, even other regions, there are also most of our people there from the Ministry of Education, from the Free Secretariat, from GHS, who are also on grounds with media people like you. And of course, I mean, like you stated, the evidence always speaks for itself. I mean, we are not here to manipulate anyone. We are not here to tell the journalists what to do, but just to have a fair idea of what is really going on. Even beyond Presec, you can suggest a school. We'll make an unannounced visit and go there.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, Aisha, as I mentioned earlier, we are at the dining hall, one of the dining halls of Presbyterian Boys Senior High School, and we see the boss of the Free Senior High School Secretariat interacting with some of the students. We've been on tour with you to 3 schools. What have been your observation? I mean, the Joy News documentary that is coming out highlighting the issues confronting feeding in the secondary schools. Is that really what's happening, or it's a different picture?
It's a different picture altogether. You yourself can attest to the fact that all the schools that we visited, I think there's food over there. All the 18 items that have been supplied to the school, at least we've supplied 15 out of 18. So this shows that the picture that is painted out there is false. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Aisha, so there you have it. We're speaking to the Free Senior High.
Can I just say with that report, let's take a break on Joy News.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Today with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Tax partner KPMG Michael Boateng is pushing for the rationalization of the country's tax laws to lessen the burden on businesses in order to make them sustainable. According to him, irrespective of the fact that some taxes have been passed, the government has a greater role to play in ensuring businesses are not overburdened. There is more in this report. Businesses in Ghana have in recent times been inundated with numerous taxes, adversely impacting the operations, profits, as well as ability to fulfill tax obligations. This has unfortunately forced many out of business, with majority of them barely surviving. In a bid to assist its members stay afloat and thrive, the Accra Regional Chapter of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in partnership with auditing firms KPMG and JS Molu, has organized a workshop on efficient tax planning for all members. Speaking to Joy Business, tax partner at KPMG Michael Boateng said it is imperative to rationalize the country's tax laws to lessen the burden on businesses.
I believe that as we are going through this process, a time will come that they need to have rationalized some of these taxes based on the burden on companies and to make them sustainable. I think this is a discussion that we need to have, because the issue has been that, and it's been there, that with the expansion of the taxes and others, some companies, are bearing the brunt. But at the end of the day, that discussion needs to be looked at, to make sure that companies are sustainable. Treasurer of the Accra Regional Branch of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kwame Boidi, stated that tax planning is a critical aspect of business management that directly imparts financial performance and compliance, hence the need for the workshop.
A tax is a big thing. If we were all to pay our taxes, we won't be crying. So we thought we'll make our members aware that if you pay tax, it's good for government revenue, and it's a legal thing, so it's binding. But on the corporate side of it too, when you pay your taxes, it makes your finances, at the end of the day, your financials look more credible. You're able to upscale, you'll be able to get proper people to partner you, and so on and so forth. So that's a key reason why we are doing this, to allow our members to grow and to be good corporate citizens. On his part, managing partner of auditing firm JS Molu, Bernard Bimpon, stressed that effective tax planning strategies enable businesses to optimize their tax liabilities while ensuring compliance with relevant regulations.
Tax laws has already been, passed. It seems to act, it seems to force. So fighting with GRA or implementing authority will not solve any problem. What you can do is look at what has been passed, the taxes that has been passed, and see how you can benefit from it, or how you can effectively manage your business within the taxes that has been passed.
The workshop aims to unlock the secrets of tax efficiency. For Joy Business, Pius Kojo Baka. And that's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Sports is next.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline Ansumaya. Well, let me officially welcome you to the Ghana Month. The eve of Joy FM's 2024 Ghana Month launch evoked nostalgia as your superstation Joy 99.7 FM staged a reenactment of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's 1957 Independence Declaration. With the help of Abubakar Latif Globe Production, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park and Mausoleum came alive with a stage act depicting the declaration. My colleague Kwame Dazi was there and has more in this report read to you.
As the curtains rose, performance of a Ghana Man theme song accompanied by Uncle Atu's Oman Beyeye echoed through the air, setting the stage for a night of cultural celebration. A narrator who guided the event was a delightful mix of singing, dancing, and enthralling storytelling. The Soul Lady spun a captivating yarn that had the audience hooked.
We at Joy 99.7 are here to introduce you to the Ghana Month with open arms. We are here to celebrate our culture. Yes, a deep and vast culture.
Adding poetic flair to the festivities were Nana Sase and Chief Moment, who graced the stage with mesmerizing poetry and spoken word performances.
I have come from the place of distant dreams into memory, holding to step into time, and then we can begin a telling, a retelling, and then a reliving of all the essences that make us a people.
The Great Africa Heritage Dance Ensemble then took the spotlight, showcasing an array of traditional music, dance forms including Kete, Fontomfrom, Balogo, and Bamaya, to name a few. The events reached its pinnacle with a flawless reenactment of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's iconic independence speech.
The point that we are going to see that we create our own African personality and identity. It is the only way we can show the world that we are ready to fight our own battles. Yes. Ghana is free forever.
As the Ghana Month unfolds, let's savor and relish every moment of this cultural journey. Kwame Dadzi's report read to you.
Now, all is set for the launch of Ghana Month on Joy FM at exactly 2 p.m. today. Chief of Akwamu Adumasa Nana Ansakwao and his guests will fill you in on what they'll be doing for this month as we celebrate Ghana. Let's listen to Programs Manager Adam Naite in an interview on the Focus of Ghana show with Maxwell.
Launch of the Ghana Month.
Yes, we're launching the Ghana Month here. Joy, and basically talking about all the things, the highlights of Ghana Month for me on Joy, apart from the trip, it's also the fact that we're doing 99, in fact it's like 100, but some 1 or 2 ups here, so we're doing 99.7% of Ghanaian music, like you have started.
Yes.
You haven't loved before.
Lions Den. Father Bernard Promas.
I tell you, Nana Ansakwao will be hosting the launch, and he will be joined by our special guest, Chief Executive Officer of Heritage Development, Stakunu Dake, will be here. The President of the Musicians Union of Ghana, Bessa Simons, will be here as well. Mrs. Rosemont A. Amuzu, Director, Culture and Creative Arts, National Commission on Culture, will be here as well. And if Philip gives me a seat, I will be here as well.
Action pack. We can't wait for that.
That's all for the showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Samaya Blasco.
And as I wrap up the bulletin this afternoon, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. So enjoy the rest of our programs.